Today we're going over an upper session. I'll touch on my form and execution, and I will give you some tips with only one goal in mind: to help you level up your training and get better results. My approach is pretty simple: push as close to failure as I possibly can without breaking my form and without shifting the tension away from the muscle that I am targeting. Starting off with incline machine presses. I have loaded the machine in a way that it is heavier on the bottom of each rep, where my pecs are stretched, as this is the most hypertrophic part of the rep. I try to squeeze my pecs on each and every rep, focusing on moving the weight with my chest only. I maintain a slight arch and I have my feet and knees in a 30 to 45 degree angle towards my body to create a more stable environment. I do 2 sets for most of my lifts, one straight in a low rep range and one back off in a higher rep range. I will go to failure in both sets as the environment of the machine is really steady and safe, so I feel comfortable doing so. On the bottom of each rep, I make sure that my forearm is vertical to minimize the stress on my elbow joints. Next, moving on to a flat machine press, where the principles are exactly the same. I try to control the eccentric and explosively push on the way up, without shifting my focus away from my pecs. We really want our arms to form a 45 to 60 degree angle with our torso to maximize the chest activation here. Again, I go for as many reps as I possibly can. The second set is a back off with less weight in a higher rep range. Now, from the side, you can notice that my forearm is parallel with the movement of the machine. This is crucial to ensure that you are keeping the tension to your chest, because you can drive all the force through your elbow and not through your hand, where your triceps can take over easily. I generally really like to do 2, maximum 3 sets per exercise, because on each subsequent set you're able to generate less and less stimulus as your output decreases from set to set because you're getting fatigued. So I would much rather add another exercise and introduce some variation than doing 3, 4 or 5 sets for the same exercise. Introducing variation is also the reason that I'm going for 1 straight set and 1 back off set. This way I can work each exercise in a wider rep range, so 6 to 10 for the first set and 10 to 15 for the second. Finishing off with some dips to hit the chest from all angles. I normally do 2 sets here as well, but I will only do 1, as I wanted to try out 1 more machine afterwards. I flare my elbows and lean forward to get a nice stretch on my pecs and limit the tricep activation. I also try to drive my knees to the front to get in a better position for chest activation. So that's the machine I wanted to try. It's the first time I'm doing those, and I really regretted skipping the last set of the dips for that. Did not feel right at all. I would much rather use a cable fly machine. Anyways, let's move on to the back, where I do 1 vertical and 1 horizontal pulling movement on this upper day. So before these rows, I also did 3 sets of pull-ups, which I did not record because the gym got super crowded. For all my compound movements, I have a slightly different approach. I don't focus too much on mind-muscle connection, and I'm moving the focus away from trying to feel or squeeze the working muscles. And instead, I focus on creating a stable and safe environment and keeping my core braced while moving the weights. For example, for these rows, I don't want to just target my traps, but I also want to target my rhomboids, my lats, possibly my rear delts, and even my whole posterior chain. And if I just try to be as strict as possible and focus on giving all the possible stimulus to my traps, I will, first of all, not be able to generate the same output and lift the same amount of weight, and limit the stimulus to the rest of the muscles that I'm trying to target. I did 2 sets in total, and again, I failed to record the second one because the gym was super crowded, but I wanted to touch on a bit on the amount of sets here. So for heavy compounds like deadlifts or bend over rows or leg presses or squats, I really believe that the cap is 2 sets. In some cases, even 1 set is enough, if you are able to take it to failure. Last, finishing off with some arms. For the triceps, I'm doing 2 sets of overhead extensions, and I try to limit the drive to my arms and not use my body's movement to lift the weights. Also, I try to bend my elbows as much as possible to give a nice and deep stretch to my triceps. By the way, if your arms are lacking and you want to focus on them, training them last is not really a good idea. I have already made a video explaining exactly how to go about your arm training, and you can check it out here. The second set is a rest pose set to bring some more volume to my triceps without having to do 3 sets. So I go to failure and wait 10 to 15 seconds and then go to failure again. Last exercise of the workout is preacher curls. Again, the machine is loaded in a way that maximizes the resistance at the bottom of the movement, where my biceps are stretched. I keep my upper arm in touch with a pad throughout the whole set, and I only focus on squeezing my biceps. As you can see from the side, I try to pull myself into the machine, keeping my chest in touch with the pad and my armpits almost wrapped around it. That is one of the best curling machines I have personally used. Chances are that in your gym you don't have one of those, but you can still do this with a dumbbell. Just try to limit the range of motion a bit and keep your arms slightly bended on the bottom and cut the top of the movement, as there is no tension due to gravity being the resistance force. Also go light and aim for 15 to 20 reps, focusing on contracting your biceps instead of moving the dumbbell. And that was it. I hope you have a list of things that you wanna try out on your next workout. Thanks for sticking around and see you on the next one.